Alison Edwards is Director of Policy at the Confederation of Passenger Transport. David Astle is MD of Nottingham City Transport. You'll hear from David in just a moment. Alison, firstly, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. It is still morning. I could tell you just checking that there, weren't you? Yeah, just. Why was the scheme brought in the first place?
So I think the reason that the scheme was brought in the first place was it was a recognition of the value of buses to both the economy and to local communities, and to the millions of people that use buses every day, whether that's to get to work, to school, essential services, and kind of recognising the cost of living crisis that people are facing at the moment. It was part of a government's wider cost of living plan to help those people with everyday costs, and I think that's why it was brought in.
OK. And what do you make of the news of the extension? It's not the first extension, is it? This is the second, I think.
No, that's right. It's the second extension. And the announcement we've heard today about the extension of the fare cap, that's part of a wider announcement being made today around the future of bus funding. And what we've heard today is a 2-year funding settlement for buses, both the fare cap extension and also some funding to support networks and services across the country. And that 2-year funding settlement is really, really welcome. It again, as I said, shows that the government is recognising the really important value of buses to the economy, to local communities. And because it's a longer-term settlement, it will enable operators and local authorities to work together to really plan, promote and grow services with greater confidence, because there's that longer-term element to it. So that is a really good thing. I think operators and local authorities are now going to need to go away and look at the detail of exactly what that funding package means for them in their local area, and how they can work together to best use that to safeguard the best possible services for passengers, whether that be on fares, on services, on networks and routes and such like. So yeah, good news, but lots of detail to still work through, I think.
Yeah, and we'll bring David into that in just a minute, because he can talk about the NCT point of view. I mean, what would you like to see more of in terms of the government helping the transport industry?
So I think, if I just talk about what we know is important to passengers, and that is that, talking with the fare cap, actually, whilst it's really helped some people across the country with cost of living and it's really drawn people's attention to buses, it hasn't. There's no evidence across the country that it's had a material impact on passenger numbers. And I think what that does is it reflects the fact that actually availability, frequency and speed of bus services are all even more important than fares to passengers. And so it's that support to make sure that we can keep buses on the roads, make sure that the services are there, going where people want to go when they want to go, putting the bus first on our bus network so it's not getting caught in congestion, and that keeps up the speed of buses, helps us with the frequency. Those things are, I think, the number one things that really help bus operators to deliver really, really good, really valuable services to passengers and gives people what they need.
OK, let's, as I say, bring in David. David Astle is MD of Nottingham City Transport. Hello.
Hello there, Mark.
What do you make of the news today, then?
We welcome it. As Alison said, anything that encourages people to get back on the bus after the pandemic of 3 years ago is to be welcomed. We had announced yesterday that we're intending to increase our fares from the 28th of May because we're contending with the cost of living situation like everybody else. So with this continued funding, that means that we're able to minimise the impact of the fares increase on our customers. Of course, we will need to agree a revised reimbursement level with the Department for Transport, but we've done that successfully so far and would be very surprised if we couldn't come to another arrangement for this further extension.
Right. So just so we're absolutely clear, you're putting your prices up. What's that down to, by the way? Cost of fuel or what?
Absolutely everything that we purchase has gone up in price, as you can imagine, Mark. And our fare, so we're having to increase our fares to ensure that we can get the company back to a break-even position. We made a trading loss last year. That's not sustainable, so we need to get back to a break-even position in the new financial year.
And how much are your fares going up by?
The average is 9%, so we're just below the current rate of inflation. But obviously, with this new fares initiative, it means the single fare won't actually go up at all. It is, in effect, frozen until October, when the government is talking about changing the reimbursement rate, which does mean the fare will still be capped, but from October it'll be capped at £2.50 rather than £2.
Yeah, yeah. So just to be absolutely clear, I mean, regardless of what's happening with your fare rises, which go up on the 28th, £2 fare is something that this is, from the government effectively. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's costing them £200 million. So you are in that. We're talking about other fares. If people are getting returns and whatever else, they may see price rises there, right?
Yes, absolutely. If you're not buying a single ticket, then you may see a fares increase. So there'll be an increase on the day ticket and some outer area return tickets. But if you're paying a single fare, it stays at £2 till October, and then will be £2.50 from October into the new year.
Right.
From October into the new year, that's right.
And are you seeing, I don't know if it's possible to calculate, can you see an uptick in people taking advantage of this £2 fare scheme?
No, we haven't, Mark. I think because our fares are relatively low anyway, the discount that the £2 fare is offered isn't as significant as the saving you'd make if you were on an interurban journey, for example. Most of our buses, remember, although we've got 300 of them, very few of them go more than 6 or 7 miles from Nottingham city centre at a maximum fare currently of £2.50. So the discount from £2.50 to £2, we don't think has grown the market, but it's undoubtedly helped people with the cost of living situation.
Yeah. And as this, because as we mentioned there, this is until the end of October. This is the second time they've extended it. It's originally till March, then June, now October. Have you got to keep talking to the government then about what the next steps are?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there clearly will. It's the government's intention that there will be a third extension beyond October, albeit a cap of £2.50 rather than £2. But yes, I mean, our single fare should be going up to £2.80. So we need to be sure that we are being reimbursed for that difference when the third extension happens.
All right, we'll keep an eye on what happens. Thanks for coming on. David Astle, MD of Nottingham City Transport. You heard from Alison Edwards as well, Director of Policy at the Confederation of Passenger Transport as well.